Hello everyone, I'm RunnerStorm331. I'm back to doing some more P.O.W. Prisoners of War, uh, mostly for speedrun guides. We will not be doing actual speedruns. We'll be back to that in a later date eventually. But anyway, like I said earlier in the stream, I was made a mod for the arcade version of P.O.W. Prisoners of War. So I figured I might do some beginner's guides to help anyone that wants to get into speedrunning this game and basically enjoy it just as me and Manicore 5 and others do. So anyway, to give a little history lesson about POW, Prisoners of War, this was like released pretty much right around the time the SNK decided to switch to the Neo Geo. This is like one of the last few games that SNK made for arcades by itself. And then by the time the 1991 and all that came around, they switched to the Neo Geo, and after that, everything was history for the company after that. So this was actually one of the pre-Neo Geo titles beforehand. But nevertheless, this game is pretty much more memorable for the awesome sound effects, among other things. And it definitely uses the control scheme of the from Double Dragon, which uses your punch, kick, and jump buttons. And you get different moves when you combine two of those buttons together with one or the other. But you can't do all three like as well either. But anyway, Prisoners of War is a little bit different than Double Dragon, unfortunately, because it has more difficulty, as you could expect from an SNK game. They definitely wanted to make you spend boatloads of money to beat this game. It only has 4 stages, but they're all pretty long in general. At least the 3 out of 4, they're pretty long. So anyway, the first part of the guides will be focusing mostly on controls as well as covering stage 1. And then the next part will cover stage 2, and then we'll cover stage 3 and stage 4 thereafter. So once we get through with each of those parts, we'll take a small break, rehydrate that throat, and then get started on the next guide. We're going to be doing this for each of the stages, and that way, that's because once I get some time, I'm going to highlight them and export them to YouTube, and then eventually to speedruns.com. So anyway, we're going to get started. So as a friendly reminder, I am playing this on the Arcade Archives version. Unfortunately, this only includes the Japanese version. For some reason, they did not include the English version when they brought this game over. So I think the English slash world version might be more easier, because I find the Japanese version to be a little bit more harder because I can't get the exact times that Manicore 5 does. And of course, there might be some region differences, but if you do know them, please let me know in the comments when I put this on YouTube, if you do, or on the chat. So anyway, since I'm playing this on the Switch, I'll be pressing the L button. This will be your credits, and you're going to be using the R button to start off your game. So I'm going to go ahead and create a restore point, which is basically create an interrupt save data. So that way we can reload our save data. So we're going to cover each of the attacks. So the Y buttons are kicks. So basically you'll be using this mostly to attack your enemies most of the time. And basically what it does is it lets you basically perform a kick. This is used to stun your enemies, and it's actually more effective than your punches. You'll be using this as your main offense. For the finishing blow, it does a rising kick. Which is an upward kick, and that really does have a pretty good sound effect. So basically, you'll use this to immobilize your enemies most of the time. But yeah, since we're playing on easy mode, they don't take a whole lot of damage, unfortunately. But technically, with the kicks, you're going to be mostly using that to attack your enemies. You're going to be stunning them most of the time, and that's going to be your main attack button, along with the jump kicks for the most part. So should have loaded. Okay, good. So anyway, we covered the kicks, so now we're going to go ahead and do the punches, which is your A button. So punches come out pretty fast. But the problem is that they have when you punch enemies when they don't get knocked down. What happens is that they'll get knocked back a bit. You won't see it right here, but technically it's pretty obvious as day. And basically, when you do a finisher with the punch, you'll do an uppercut, which is pretty fast. Let me move forward so we can show the stun animation. Yeah, unfortunately, these enemies are not falling down like I want them to. Come on. Yeah, normally they get stunned when you get punched, but technically when you punch them, they get knocked back a bit. That also includes the same with the headbutt, of course. So we're gonna go ahead and go back to our restore point. And now that we covered that, we're going to be covering the jump button first. If you're playing this on the Switch, this is your B button. So oddly enough, when you do jumping in this game, your enemies do not move forward when you jump. So basically, you can use that to stop them from moving, and you can set up some despawn attempts when doing this. So you're going to be using that to avoid certain things like throwing knives, and among other things. But technically, the main purpose of the jump is to basically set up some despawn attempts and prevent your enemies from moving. So basically, when you move forward, you pretty much stop your enemies from doing whatever the heck they want. This is where you're going to perform your jump kick most of the time when you're doing jumps. And you can also perform mobile jump kicks while in the air as well. So for the most part, when you're doing speedruns in certain areas, we're going to be using jumping as a means to prevent enemies from coming right at us. It also allows us to basically set up some despawn attempts in certain areas, but as well as clipping into some areas. But there's very few areas in the game we do clip because clipping into some of the background does take a bit of work and doesn't always work everywhere in the entire game. But technically, it was pretty useful in the earlier days, thanks to runners like Scoop and others that found this glitch. So we're gonna go ahead and cover the combo buttons next. So we're going to cover the jump kick next. This is pretty easy. You combine jump and kick together. This does a forward jump kick. Now you can do multiple kicks while you're in the air. So if it lands, I usually refer to this method as the machine gun kicks because normally you're supposed to do a jump forward and not do anything else. But technically, the jump kicks are your secondary main offense, alongside with your normal kicks. You'll be using that quite a lot throughout the entire game for the most part. So make sure you memorize that well, and don't forget you can also do additional jump kicks while still in the air. So the next combo we're going to be doing is basically jump punch, which is our back fist. So back fist is pretty much your only means of protecting your character from behind. Think of it as P.O.W.'s version of the back elbow, but not nearly as powerful. Now, if you're using the Switch, or other controllers, you can use the ZL button instead of the jump punch button. But basically, you'll use that to protect yourself from any enemies that come right behind you. But of course, it won't always eliminate every enemy you come across. And as long as they don't come near you, you'll always get your strikes on them. But technically, that's your go-to defense. It's better to use the shortcut buttons if you use it. for this version, of course. But technically, that's going to be your main defense against anyone trying to come from behind, for the most part. So be sure to make good use of it. If you got enemies that are rushing at you or whatever, those are going to be your only defense options for the most part. Now, the final one is the headbutt, which is Y and A on the Switch, and X button with the Switch here. So basically, you'll do a stun attack like this. This also hits ground opponents too, but when you use it as a finisher, it changes it into the uppercut. So it's basically the same as the punch, but you just attack them with your head instead. We don't really use this in the actual speed run, but it's just there, and it can also work against ground opponents. As long as your character is above the enemy, one plane above them, you can hit them with any attack like kicks or punches or headbutts. But technically, in a speedrun sense, you don't really use the headbutt. Basically, we just use kicks and jump kicks, and technically the punch is a lot more better alternative to hitting ground enemies rather than the headbutt. But anyway, that covers pretty much everything for controls. So now we're going to go ahead and start covering the start of stage 1. So stage 1, you want to do a jump kick on this guy right here. I did that pretty miserably. This one will get knocked down, so position yourself above that one. And wait until these guys come out to do that. If you're fast enough, you can get rid of, prevent the second green soldier from coming out. So the oblige uniform soldiers are basically usually go down one hit or a few, whereas the green soldiers come in two varieties. Light green ones will not duck most of the time, but they have a little bit more durability than the oblige ones. The dark green ones are capable of ducking, which becomes also important once you get access to your guns. Wow, I didn't realize you can get shot if you wait around. So yeah, right there, we'll go ahead and redo that again. So that was a lesson learned. So you do not want to be hanging around one area because enemy reinforcements will come out with guns, as you saw right there. So anyway, let me eliminate these soldiers real quick and then create another interrupt point. So basically what you want to do is do this. You can also do kicks as well. Now you have to be fast in taking out the bleach soldiers, so that way you can... So when you get to this point, stop right here, wait for these guys to come, and then move forward as they try to stab you. Now this will take quite a bit of practice the first time you start doing it, so you'll probably want to master it because this only happens when they try to run up to you to stab you. Most of the time, it's not just these knight guys exclusively, but it's also any normal soldier that's equipped with a knife as well. That won't always happen every time, but there are certain points where you can bait enemies into rushing at you, try to stab you from behind, and basically run off after that, and you won't have to deal with them. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and create a restore point. Go back to the tile screen and start again. So once you get done with that part, you want to be near the point where we need to start moving forward. So this guy will have a gun. So basically when you have your gun, you want to make sure that you use your A button. This will allow you to use your punch, and you can basically throw the knife. To fire the gun, you'll need to hit the kick buttons, which is what we do right here. So with the knife command, you'll still be able to do kicks while performing this, but you also have the ability to bait your enemies into basically throw knives at them, which deals quite a bit of damage in general. So basically, that's all the button controls for the weapons, by the way. So anyway, once you get to this point, take out these soldiers as quickly as possible. If you're lucky enough, you can get both of them at once. Shoot the guy that had the gun. Take out this guy. You don't need to... You want to definitely conserve ammo for some of the more stronger enemies. You want to try to group them all together if you can, because that will help you eliminate them. One important fact about taking out enemies, you don't have to defeat every enemy on screen. As long as one of the required enemies is still up, you'll be able to move forward. It doesn't work on every screen. So right here, we're going to wait for the soldiers to come down. We'll open fire on them once they come down. And we want to get to this point right here and start jumping. And then, of course, start doing our jump kicks because this knife guy is going to be right here. Now, the ultimate goal is pretty much basically bait our trying to despawn all the enemies if we can. Of course, it won't always work, but if you keep jumping and get to the point where they get despawned, that's good. So if you're low on ammo at this point, you're going to want to get this guy to drop his gun. So wait for him to try to go for a jump, then bait him with the butt of the gun with your punch button. Now, of course, we don't have to defeat every enemy. Unfortunately, we just lost our gun, unfortunately. Oh boy, that was pretty terrible of me. But technically, you do not want to lose the gun. So if we were doing this on a normal run, we want to probably try to use the firepower from the gun as much as possible. So anyway, we'll do this again, then create another restore point once we get back over there. No, you will not take that gun from me. Thank you. So anyway, we'll go through this area again, and then once we get to the point where we have to climb up the ladders, we'll create a restore point. Alright, let's go ahead and create a restore point. And move forward. So anyway, like I said before, we're gonna, if you're low on ammo, try either use a jump kick or hit him with your gun to force him to drop the gun. Now, of course, these soldiers are very hard to hit point blank range, so be very careful when you open fire. And try to conserve your ammo as much as possible. Now, we want to do jumping while we're moving forward. If you're fast enough, you should be able to prevent them from throwing the grenades. So, since these guys are going to try to run towards us, we can bait them into trying to attack us. Avoiding their punches is pretty easy to do. So, position yourself right near the missile firing of the copter. This is the best way to get them to lure out. So, once all the oblige soldiers come out, bait these guys into trying to stab you. And basically, just try not to get hit. Unlike what I did here. But technically, you want to avoid getting hit with the knife as much as possible. So once we get to this last part right here, I don't have to really kick these guys, but... great. They did not give me a chance to pick up that gun. Now, like I said before, you don't have to... You don't have to really wait for all of them, but you have to get rid of all the knife guys. This is actually one of those areas where you're actually required to defeat every enemy before you're allowed to advance. Wow, where did all these guys come from? Okay, that's a first. I've never seen that happen before. Come on. Yeah, normally you would not have all those guys right there, but technically, you want to get at least 3 of them to appear. Unlike what we did here. So basically, it's probably best not to blow up the barrels, unlike what happened here. So we're going to redo this whole area again. But technically, the general ideal is to pretty much get rid of most of the enemies. Just try to conserve as much ammo as you can when you get to that part. You want to have at least 3 left when you go into the final part of stage 1. Yeah, sometimes they'll drop the grenade even if you try to jump forward. Okay, we're going to bait these guys out into attacking us again. This only happens if they're trying to rush at you. So after 4 of these guys, the knife ones will come out. So we do have to be very quick on moving forward when they come out. So that way we can avoid getting hit with those knives like what just happened right here. So anyway, we're going to try this again and hopefully get a lot more better outcome this time. Yeah, like what we did right here. We just baited them into getting hit there. But technically you want to prioritize getting... Okay, good. Now, actually, there's actually a hidden pit right there at the edge of the screen. You can knock the enemies over and they'll fall right in. So this is basically what you would normally see in an actual speedrun, unlike the last attempt. So basically, you want to open fire. So when you're doing your splits, you want to hit your split button for that one after you defeat all 3 of the soldiers. And now we're on our way to stage 2. So I'm going to go ahead and create a restore point. Take a small break and rehydrate these vocal cords, and then we'll cover stage 2 next. So hang tight, I'll be back momentarily.